All right, paddle lovers, paddle addicts, welcome back to a new episode of the Off Court Podcast, episode 11. This is the Paddle Podcast covering all your paddle needs. We are your hosts, Connor and Hugh. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we are diving straight into the Santiago P1, which just happened. Bit of a strange one, Connor, wasn't it?
No finals.
No
again.
finals, so we'll get into that. Incredibly fast courts, which we'll get into as well, and unexpected winners and losers. I think the season isn't going as
potentially
I predicted, at least.
One of the most unpredictable seasons that has happened so far. I think there's been so much that's gone on, boycott aside. Coello Tapia getting knocked out before quarterfinals.
Weather issues.
Yeah. It's been full on, but, we take it as it goes. And, these are the moments. We're still here recording our podcast and delivering it to you guys. And I hope you guys, share the same feelings that we did over this weekend, trying to play catch up a little bit, keeping up with the paddle tournaments all the way to the end. And, of course, I'm sat here. We're on UK time. Almost midnight, waiting for a game to finish, and unfortunately we didn't get either final. So let's get into it, buddy.
But it's content, paddle content, and that's what we do. So
the big C word.
Exactly. We're bringing it to you. So before we get into it, let's do a quick catch up. How are you, Connor? How's the paddle world for you?
Good. Now it feels slightly less weird. I don't feel alienated anymore, and I'm actually back on the court, guys. For those who've kept up, 8 weeks with a rolled ankle, sprained ankle. It's been good, a nice recovery back. Trying to keep it slow. It's one of those things where I want to go at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but I need to make sure that, we look after ourselves. Unfortunately, I don't have the genetic makeup of a top performing athlete, but we're getting there. Had my first proper-ish game.
How did that go?
Interesting. I was playing with a partner that, felt like he was Coello Tapia's coach for the last 9 years.
This is a random.
This is a random
platonic.
It wasn't an absolute, horrible match or anything. But I think over the times that we've done this podcast, we've we call them platonic horror stories. I wouldn't put it in that genre, but
platonic gremlins.
Yeah, we call them platonic gremlins a little bit, man. You know what? I get it. There's a ranking. People are trying to grind this out. Yeah. But goddamn, there's a fine line between being competitive and just being a straight up asshole. I don't know if there's no nicer word to say it. So yeah, obviously I can play my tiny violin, right, and say I'm coming back after 2 months of an injury. But dude, it was a bit of a grind.
He was just coaching you.
I think that's something a lot of people experience though. It's when's the right time to solicit and receive information, especially from a partner that you've never played with before.
And a stranger.
It's a stranger at the end of the day, dude. You know what I mean? First of all, broski, you've been playing for 4 months. Let's keep it chill a little bit. I feel from a little bit. Maybe some of you guys have been in that situation where you just joined Platonic and you're you might be better than your rating, right? And you're trying to get out of that low end ranking point so you can
Elo hell.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Literally like that, man. And this guy's stuck there, and he came in with that frustration. We lost the first set. Second set went to tiebreak. Mm-hmm. That's fine. As long as we can leave it all on the court. And man, I said we can play the tiny violin, but I'm all about respect on and off the court.
Of course.
Here
it's
at off court.
Yeah,
exactly. Well. Don't pop your earbuds in and walk off type of thing. At the end of the day, he's a stranger, and let bygones be bygones.
Well, it's about manners as well. Just general.
I think so. I think I carry some manners with me, and I appreciate that when the person that you spend the last hour and a half playing paddle with, shares that a little bit with you.
Yeah.
Hey, we all want to win, right? But
but it's good game. Shame we lost.
Yes,
but it was fun. See you later.
Dude, it was like we got knocked out of Miami. You know what I mean? We got to round 32 or something like that. Yeah. But yeah.
Let us know your if you have any of these experiences. As we always say, we share what at an amateur level. What we experience on the court sometimes, playing with strangers, playing with difficult partners, difficult rivals. So
keep it chill, guys. Yeah. We're here to have fun. You know what I mean? We're here to have fun, and that's it at the end of the day.
But let's see you in the comments. See what
I mean, fuck, dude. If you're watching, man, come on, brother. Yeah. You're better than that. But yeah, that's kind of my scoop a little bit. It's nice to I get to add a little bit more than I'm just injured. But and yourself, Hugh, how's everything for you?
Yeah, good. I mean, I haven't been playing much, to be honest. I'd like to play more. all I can say is, which is a bit frustrating, the last like 10 games I've played, they've mostly all of them have been either draws or invalid results because we can't. It goes to a third set and we don't have time to finish it, or it's just a draw.
Are you doing 60-minute sessions or 90?
60-minute slots because sometimes I can't get more, and it's also more expensive. Yeah. So it's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. We keep going.
Those 60-minute sessions are such like tough ones because it's like if you lose that first set, the best thing that you're gonna walk out with is a draw at least, and it's kind of like how do you stay mentally there? Obviously, as I said, we're having fun at the end of the day, but gosh,
unless you're brave, because we did ask last time. It's happened to me before where you ask, it's one set each, one set apiece.
Yeah.
And there's like 10 minutes left or 5 minutes left, and you're like,
Tie break?
Yeah. Some people, like the other day, this guy was like, we asked the rivals, and this guy was like, no.
Yeah, these guys get scared.
Keep it as a draw. And I was like, okay, fair enough. But yeah, that's the best thing you can do. Otherwise, it's just a draw.
Let us know what you guys would do. Look, you got 10 minutes left of your hour slot. Are you guys playing the tie break, or are you guys walking up with the draw?
Or are you making it? Yeah.
You can do either. I there's definitely moments in time where your confidence is there.
Or are you turning on your Galan switch and just going full beast mode competitive?
Literally. Yeah. But yeah, it's good that we're both playing a little bit, and we need to play as well a little bit as well. And we've got to get back on the court. I'm losing another doubles partner. Shout out to Taylor Cragnell if he's listening. But yeah, he's leaving. Lost my second doubles partner in 6 months. Is it me, man? Is it me? Is it them? I don't know. But
they're all going to the Middle East to find new opportunities.
Yeah, like Hofle as well to play for the UAE, buddy. But yeah, look, we have lots to talk about today. It might feel a little bit of a shorter episode, but I think we're just freestyling a little bit and going from there.
And it was a weird episode, and we've come from like loads of tournaments in a row.
It was weird,
it's a more chill episode, this one for you guys today, which is also nice.
I mean, Miami was fruitful in a way where there was just so much, the boys are back type of thing. We're getting good quality paddle.
Well, and there was like full on like semis and finals and like there was a lot to talk about, but like
it is
this one, I mean, I guess let's just get straight into it. Like let's just first do a Santiago P1 overview. Connor, initial vibes, what did you think? I think there's a couple points to touch on in this sense, like,
well, for those who are new or haven't heard yet, I am the advocate. I think in this relationship, I am pro fast court. I love a fast speed court, and I think Santiago over delivered a little bit on the speed of it because
my god,
it was like zero gravity mode. Literally. A little bit. 1,000 meters above sea level, and the balls are just like floating around. I loved it. I think it's a double-edged sword, really. I think from an entertainment point of view, I think people are skeptical on the quality of paddle. I think it genuinely offers another experience that feels so different to even if you compared Miami. Right. I think a lot of people praise Miami for the type of games that we got. And if you compared those to what we got in Santiago, it was a whole different beast. That's why we saw a different board of players as well, and a different set of score lines that was happening. And I like that. I did enjoy that.
Okay.
However, yeah, it was a bit insane, especially when Cardona and Augsburger are on the court as well. Balls are going glass to glass either side, and yeah, I was excited for an outdoor tournament, and I think it was going so well up until the finals were delayed.
Let's get into that first then. Okay. What's the? I mean, as you guys know, there was no finals. Everything was going well. Beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. The Chilean mountains
gorgeous,
in the back.
The Andes there in the background.
A nice big stadium as well.
Nice big stadium. Very full, actually. Really rate the Chilean audience.
They were there for it, man.
Spectators were filled stadiums, good energy, loads of chants.
I felt so bad for the people sitting there yesterday though, watching that, sitting there and finding out that Stupa Lebrón I have pulled out and it goes automatically to Chingotto Galán. But also watching the women's final, second set, they both had a piece, 1-1, and then game ends like that. I feel for the audience that are out there,
But sometimes, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I think, this being an outdoor court, and I'm also someone who enjoys the variety and what that gives. When it gets to the point now where we're still kind of, we're in that first quarter of the year, we've gone through the first 4 months. This is now the second tournament where we don't get a finals.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting a bit of red flags where I was hoping for the best almost, but at the same time, I think it's not okay that they just cancel these finals like this.
It's not.
So really, we put the question forward: indoor, outdoor, should it be allowed?
Look, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's I'm just gonna say what I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think Premier Padel in general, I think they need to, all due respect, sort their shit out. We've come from a really rough start of 2025 season with the boycott, which we won't even talk about. But then we had a massive Riyadh P1 failure with so many cancellations of matches, like postponing matches, the finals, everything because of the weather. Yes, sometimes water falls from the sky, as we all know. We should know that. And as a professional paddle tour, personally, I think you should just troubleshoot for that. Agreed. I think indoor, outdoor offers a different experience, different speeds of courts. It makes sense to give a bit of variety to the sport, right? Because we need that. However, is it that difficult to just keep a indoor court, even if you're doing an outdoor tournament? Whatever, you might not be able to fit all the people in there, but at least you'll be able to transmit it live, and offer fans who aren't there to watch.
Yeah.
And at least it's better than canceling.
At the end of the day, it's a form of entertainment, right? And you got to give the audience what they want, essentially, and especially for the ones that are paying for it too.
I just think it's a lack of professionalism, and I get that things can go wrong. Absolutely, you'll do your best, but like canceling whatever, the Stupa Lebrón Chingotto Galán final, that was because of Stupa's fever. That's a different thing. That's a personal thing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But I mean, they wouldn't have played either, because if they canceled, they couldn't.
Oh my God!
They couldn't come back with the women's after the second set. They still had to play a third set, and they didn't. And it ended up being, if you guys don't know, the final of the women's it's kept as a draw.
Yeah,
they're not playing it anymore. So I'm assuming that they're splitting the points. So we've got an unfinished women's final and an unplayed men's final, which goes straight to Chingotto Galán.
Yeah.
I just think it's lazy and a bit sloppy from Premier Padel.
It's just a sour way to end like the South American section of the tour, right? Like it's just, it was going so well. I said it already, but it was just such an enjoyable tournament where we were enjoying it. But to end like this, it's there's got to be something addressed here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. We're two guys with a paddle podcast.
What do you guys think as well? Like, let us know in the comments. Like, what are your takes on what should Premier Padel do?
Yeah.
Is this
a thing that we just have to, take on the chin and be like, okay, we don't get a finals for this one? Like, does that ruin the competitive excitement of it?
I think it does.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think there's solutions for it that aren't very, like, so many sports around the world, struggle with these things.
Yeah. Depending
on the sport, and you find solutions because you've got money, and it's, and we've got so much technology and like stuff that we can do to troubleshoot for these situations.
If it's down to costs and everything like that, like I understand, but there's got to be, like, I can't believe it gets to the point where rain starts falling and they're like, oh, what do we do now?
It's like,
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
You just made a whole event, dude, like, and you invited people and you flew players out here to play it, and there was no like backup, there's no nothing, there's got to be something done here, where we can actually, see a tournament from start to finish, because what's the point? Really, what's the point of having a whole finals? What's the point of having a seeded draw when we don't get this whole build up to go? So
you have a second LeBron versus Galan in a row, massive opportunity. Loads of fans want to see that. It's super, like, it's a very media juicy final, like, and you just can't play it. Well, that's because of the fever, but otherwise it wouldn't have been played. So like,
now that you mentioned it, it's kind of annoyed me more that even if Stupa didn't have a fever, that we wouldn't have got a final anyway. No. So that would have been an even worse way to end, right? Yeah. So I think maybe they got off lucky that Stupa was sick. Do you think he was lying? He called in sick.
Pulled the sickie.
Yeah.
I was too afraid to play. No. I think it's just I was talking to a doctor friend that I have who's also a paddle player. I've got a little WhatsApp paddle chat group with some of my friends back home. Shout out Sergi Drigine. He's a listener.
Oh, what's up, brother?
So maybe he's watching. He's a doctor, and he was saying, like, what do you mean Stupa didn't play because of a fever? And I was like, well, dude, I mean, he's a professional player. He's got a whole team. He's got doctors with him, giving him advice. If he didn't play, it's because he really couldn't play. And he was like, yeah, but it's a fever. Just take a painkiller. And unless you're like 40 degrees Celsius fever and you're like absolutely knocked out, you should be able to play. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I would assume if Stupa had the chance to play a P1 final and he says no, it's for a good reason.
Of course, man.
Surely.
I think you got to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what he probably did anyway. And it is a shame we didn't get that Stupa Lebrón Chingolan second final, because that would have been so juicy. I would have loved to see Lebrón and Galan warm up again and see if there's any bad beef that comes up from that. And I love that. That's a rivalry that I really want to see, considering that, is it safe to say the Golden Boys right now are non-existent, which is kind of a crazy statement to think, or to say out loud.
I mean, we have to get into that.
Let's do it right now. Let's get into it right now. Yeah.
I think so obviously it was the first time that the Golden Boys in Santiago P1 that they didn't make it through past round of 16. So it's a massive loss for them. They went up against Cardona.
That's crazy.
Cardona Augsburger, which is insane. I think it's the court speed that really affected it. Like this tournament, we saw a court that was like nearly impossible to play with. The same way.
It's like they turned all the sliders on FIFA to maximum.
Like the same way. I have to slightly disagree with what you were saying before. I think it's not enjoyable paddle to watch 3-4 rallies, 3-4 shot rallies. It's like it's way too much. I want to see longer points. I want to see more skill involved. But this was just lob smash.
No.
Or I mean, everything. What people were trying to do, all the players were just hit really fast, straight like bullets towards the opponents who were at the net.
Body shots.
Body shots. That's what they were trying to do. And then having chiquitas as a very important resource to try and gain the net. Because you couldn't lob.
Yeah.
You lob Cardona, you lob Augsburger, you're absolutely done. Because doesn't matter where you lob them, because it's Santiago. They're going to make it, they're going to pop it back. So chiquitas were a really good resource to try and find it, which actually Cardona and Augsburger found really well.
Yeah.
Because it's not that they're up against two noobs who can't smash. They're up against Coello and Tapia, who have probably some of the best smashes in the entire circuit.
Yeah.
But I think, going back to that specific game, they just said it. The Golden Boys accepted it as well. In the benches, they were talking about it. Even the coach said it at the end. They were like, they just played better. Cardona and Augsburger just came out super hungry, played with a lot of personality, a lot of initiative. The Golden Boys, maybe it's because of Tapia's this semi-injury.
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I was going to ask. Like, where is that at the moment?
I think he was better in Santiago P1, but you could definitely see he's not at his top level.
This is the thing. If Stupa's not playing in a final because of a fever, is Tapia, not why is he playing in this tournament if he's actually like really seriously got a problem where he's not smashing as much? Or
I think it's not a big enough of a problem to be like, I literally can't play. Right. And he's got, and I'm assuming this is also like a contract thing. Like if you it's a P1, so if you can play, you should. Obviously, if your ankle or your wrist is like absolutely fucked, then
Who is Premier Padel? They need Tapia like coming in a wheelchair, dude, just to be like, I'm sorry, boss, can't do this.
But I think also like the players, they just want to play.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, it's the same as we were saying about Stupa before. If Tapia's what a team would have been like, dude, you just rest. It's better.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have played. If he is playing, it's because he can. Maybe it's not his best paddle, but he can still play.
Especially when you go up against, which I love. I prefer this name way more than Carburger, but the Super Smash Bros. I'm down with that. You know what I mean?
Of that one before.
Yeah. I saw that online. I was like, you know what? We'll take it, especially on a court like this, dude. The power that these guys had.
Yeah.
And it won them the game, and they came and you were saying that they came on this court with the biggest amount of confidence, and they put it out there, man.
And I think that was the deciding factor.
Yeah.
It was just not the best game from the Golden Boys, and it's sort of, I guess, fortunate for the Super Smash Bros. But they went up against two massive hitters
Mm-hmm.
early on.
Yep.
If they'd faced someone maybe not as good or as powerful in that game, the Golden Boys would have taken it and they would have gone through.
Yeah.
Because then we saw the Smash Bros lose against Libak
Crazy,
in the
right?
in the quarterfinals.
I sent Hugh a message like super early on, and I was like, dude, we could get a Chingalan Carburger final.
Yeah.
And I was so wrong with that. We got to get better at our predictions,
But
but
because it's just
it's
so
so
difficult.
unpredictable,
but
man.
this leads us to what you were mentioning before we started the pod, which you were so right about. It was a super fast court,
Yeah.
but it really depended on the time you were playing, right? Because as soon as the sun goes down
Yes.
and it starts, so night comes, so there's less,
Heat.
it's more humid. The game changes completely.
Yeah,
right?
I noticed that because this is when I was really enjoying this outdoor tournament. We were saying the beautiful sunset. It was the quarterfinals, Carburger versus Tino Lebak, and blanking on his name.
Juan Tello.
How could I forget? Because he's the fucking MVP of
Yeah.
the tournament almost. And I was like, this is nice, man. This is the sunset's happening. And the moment the sun disappeared, they were doing these smashes that, earlier in the game,
Yeah.
it's going from glass to glass either side of the court, which is something that we don't really see that often. But then to see these balls not even make it to the net, and you can see the players are also thinking live as well. They're going like, hang on, I just hit that shot maybe 40 minutes ago and it was flying back.
Yeah.
And now we have to change our game a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I think that's possibly where, Cardona and Augsburger had difficulties a little bit adapting to that. And I think,
it's one of their main weapons, and
Yes.
I guess them seeing it worked so well, they're like, dude, this court is incredible.
Yeah.
And then if you already start the game with those conditions, then they can, at the beginning, they're okay, this isn't working, we have to change strategy.
Exactly.
But if you, after the first set, when it's been working, you're like, oh wait, smashes aren't working.
Yeah,
It takes a
what do we do?
while to,
Yeah.
and I guess it's frustrating.
I
as
think
well,
when
right?
you're playing at that level of aggression, right, and you want to take the net, you want
Yeah.
to smash any lob that comes, is you want to clean that up.
Yeah.
It's very hard to step back into that mentality. Obviously these guys are pros, but
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of where they went wrong and where they had troubles. Obviously we can't forget about Juan Tello though, because
I mean, this is something that I wanted to ask you as well, and Libak.
yes,
We talk a lot about Teo as well, because the thing about Teo is he's resurfaced in this 2025. He was
non-existent
He
last year.
disappeared 2024. He had a really bad season.
Yeah.
Coming from being one of the best players in the world, he obviously still was, but I think his pairings weren't really helping him last year. But now that he's found Libak, who is an absolute beast,
He's a beast.
and you can tell that they really like each other as well.
Mhm.
Teo was saying, who's 30, Libak
Yeah,
is 20.
He's 19, yeah.
He's 19.
Yeah.
He was like, I mean, I'm paired up with this guy, this 19-year-old who's an absolute tank. He is. And I'm so happy to be with him. They made it to a semis,
Which is
of
incredible.
a P1, taking Stupa Lebrón to 3 sets.
Yeah, man.
Which is massive, you
Yeah.
know, and beating the guys who took out the Golden Boys.
Yeah.
So massive, massive tournament for Teo and Libak. What does this mean for them? Do we have another
Resurgence.
contender, not for obviously top one, but do we have another contender within the top pairings that will surprise us every once in a while?
I'd love to see them more.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them play more, have a little bit more confidence going into the next upcoming tournaments. They definitely walk away from this tournament with a nice a few medals on their chest, because they can say they went and did it, got to the semifinals, played their best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it needs another condition like Santiago, where it's unpredictable for everyone, really, and learning to adapt that fast, where they just saw the opportunity. Coello Tapia got knocked out super early. They put Cardona and Augsburger on their ass a little bit, and they just kind of pulled the rug under their feet, and they saw the opportunity and they took it essentially. I don't know how often those circumstances are going to come back again.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a majors coming up soon in
next
Qatar.
tournament. Yeah.
Exactly. And then after that, it's a P2, which will they be there? I don't know.
We'll
That's something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd like to think that was a really big spark for them. That's going to give them a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a few other players we can't forget it. Koki Anguas also went to semifinals too. What would that game look like as well?
I think this it's quite informative though on how 2024 was such a dominant season by two
Yes,
pairs.
yeah.
Mostly Golden Boys, who took 70% of all the victories. Galan were there, especially at the beginning of the season. I like seeing how this 2025 season is a bit different.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because, obviously, take nothing away from the Golden Boys, and this is something that I also wanted to say. In my personal opinion, I might be wrong again, I have still zero doubts about the Golden Boys.
Yeah.
I know that they've had a couple rough tournaments, but they're still number ones. Give them however long they need for Tapia to regain his composure and find his paddle again.
Yes.
They'll be playing paddle.
I just want that points gap to close down a little bit.
Yeah.
And let Chingalan put a little bit of pressure on them.
But it's what I was gonna say. It's so interesting seeing it's so cool. Super Smash Bros. Cardona Augsburger taking out Chingalan in Riyadh.
Yes.
Now they take out the Golden Boys.
Yeah.
They make it to the semis in Riyadh, I think.
Yes.
Now they've made it to semis here as well in P1s, massive for these super young players. Teo Libac creeping in. We've got Stupa Lebrón, who are damn.
Yeah,
these guys are playing some serious paddle. I think LeBron has found has found his partner. He's struggled a lot, but he's found someone
that can complement him
within the top players of the world who can really take him to that next level. He's playing, as we said last episode, 2020 LeBron vibes. He's bringing back his prime
LeBron,
paddle,
man.
prime
Yeah.
LeBron,
we take it.
Which is so good to see. And Stupa, I think they complement each other so well, which is amazing. But yeah, I think we're seeing some different matchups happening this first quarter of the season, which is pretty cool to see. So I wonder, what does this mean for 2025 season? We've got Chingalan at a really high level.
Yes.
Also, and taking two tournaments in a row, two P1s in a row. They didn't play this final, but it could have very easily gone to them.
Yeah, I mean, it went to them anyway, and they got those points at the end of the day, and they didn't even have to play a game.
It's setting precedents. Are Chingalan, inching closer to Coello and Tapia? Chingalan, we had doubts about, I think everyone did. We definitely did, about and they started Riyadh with getting knocked out in quarters by Cardona Augsburger, so we had a bit of doubts about that. They've, they're playing well now. But yeah, I just think my point with this is basically awesome. We're having more competitiveness within the professional paddle world, and it seems like the future is a bit uncertain, which is good.
Yeah,
which
we
is
want
exciting.
That. Yeah,
exactly,
because it's going to push the competitive level basically, and it's just we love seeing a pairing dominate and everything like that, and I think that's also healthy in most sports that there is this level that everyone's trying to reach.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the stress, a lot of the the big changes that these teams have to make to adapt in situations like that come in moments like this when there's a lot of shit going on basically. You take the boycott stuff out of it, take the tournaments not being able to finish, the speculation on indoor and outdoor, but right now, and for the number ones, the Golden Boys, to also be going through their moment. I am so curious what the vibes are in the locker room with Coello and Tapia at the moment.
Yeah.
If they just, man, they have such amazing sportsmanship. I doubt they're, worrying at all.
No.
But
and they said, and I saw a post of the Tapia's coach on Instagram, and
what
he was he was saying it's a shame, but we can't ask more. From our players. These two guys are giving everything they have. We're just gonna keep working, and I think it's also they have had time to rest, but it's I think a good comparison is I don't know, if you guys watch football, it's a very easy comparison. Look at Man City, if you compare them to the Golden Boys, you can
not right now.
No, that's what I mean. I know it's not exactly the same thing that's happening, but there's in professional sports, or I guess in life in general, getting to the top is really difficult. Getting to the top. What's even harder is maintaining that.
Yeah.
You know, like it comes to a point where you just can't win all the time. Like you had Man City treble, boom, like winning like arguably the best team in the world, you know, or one of the best for sure. Super scary.
That's so sick coming from a guy from Barcelona. We'll say that, mate. You got Manchester in your blood, dude. Holy shit.
Winning everything to then at some point it needs to go down. Yeah. At some point. And
I mean, what goes up comes down.
What goes up comes down. You know what I mean? But I think it's just like
saying.
It's just the natural
progression
of things. I'm not saying that this is the downfall of the Golden Boys. Not at all. As I said.
What do you mean? That's going to be the title of this video.
They're still number ones, and I think they will be, and I'm not worried about them.
We're going to be calling them the Bronze Boys soon, dude. There we
go. But yeah, I think it's interesting. So we've got a lot of new pairings.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to talk about the quarter season crisis.
Yeah,
if you want to talk about it.
Is this something that we came up with, or is this just like a habitual pattern that seems to happen in like the Premier Padel world, where like we're a quarter way in through the tournament so far or the season so far, and if you compare it to last year, I think is this when Lebrón and Galan
Qatar Major was the turning point where LeBron lost his marbles.
Yeah, exactly.
Galan got sick of him, and then the LeBron-Galan domination came to an end because they separated. Galan was formed.
Exactly.
And Coello Tapia
went up,
skyrocketed from there.
So are we going to see this sort of pattern? Is this like a what do we call it? A quarter season crisis? This is when the cracks start to form. This is when the new pairings who are really forming their foundations realize and look at each other and go, okay, I got that confidence within you. And there's some pairings out there that are probably looking at each other being like, we have so much to work on right now,
or this isn't working,
or this ain't working.
I think it's further into the season. We're into it, like 3 months now, more or less. Boycott aside and whatever, there's enough.
Can you tell we're done with the boycott?
There's enough tournaments that have been played, and they've trained together for long enough to be like,
not to see where they are, but to see where the other pairings are at as well.
And to see, like, I think it's a good time to gauge where things are.
Yeah.
So like let's
run through it.
Let's look at what's happening. Like, do you see, Connor, like, do you see any pairs splitting up? Do you see any pairs that you're like, okay, this isn't definitely not working?
I think the one that a lot of people are throwing under the bus, which sounds like an awful way to say it, but gosh, Garrido and Dineno are off the radar at the moment. They're not playing well together. They haven't made a name for themselves as a new pairing yet.
They're getting knocked out early on.
They are.
And you can see them, like, you can tell they're like not as motivated. I saw like a little video of them at the benches after a loss, and they were both just like,
there's so much to say when you see the pairings just in general sit on the benches, though, because that really is like, in the public eye, the time of reflection.
Yeah.
Because it's just everything's raw and fresh at that moment. And they, not that they have to sit there. It's just, you got to sit there in between your sets or take a moment for your game because you got to, do the awards ceremony after or something. And you can kind of see them. That's that moment of like genuine reflection of like what they just thought that happened. Obviously, you got to read into it a little bit and be like, you can just tell by facial expressions, right? Or even their post-match interviews if they do one. Normally it's the winners, but I think they should start doing it for the losers as well, though, I'll be honest. I think that's, it's a tough one for them. But yeah, I think, that's a pairing that comes to my mind immediately that I just don't have the most confidence in. I think maybe you share that as well, right?
I completely agree. I mean, I think it's a shame, especially, I mean, both incredible players, but I think it's especially a shame for Dineno.
Yeah.
Who is like arguably one of the best forehands in paddle right now, and he just hasn't been very lucky. I just think he needs someone by his side, someone like Galan, for example.
We all want the Galan by our side, though.
But you know what I mean? Like, but I think Dineno has absolutely the level to be side by side with Galan and giving Galan that defensive forehand pair that he needs.
His defense is insane.
It's incredible. And he's such an old school, well-rounded defensive beast who can set up his partner with incredible shots and winners and incredibly intelligent player. Off the glass, he's a beast. So like, yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with that pairing.
I mean, I could so see it. Obviously these guys have been playing together for longer than their partnerships. They were playing paddle since they were kids, right? You can see that on paper. That you got Donato's defense, Garrido's power, his aggressiveness. Sounds good, right?
But it's just not enough.
I think when reality comes into it a little bit, they're just slacking for me, and they haven't impressed me so far this tournament.
I think it's also like sometimes it just comes down to, this is like relationships, sometimes it just comes down to chemistry.
I mean, look at Stupa and Lebrón. They seem like best friends, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's
Although I don't know if you saw
what
there was a bit of a I can't remember which game it was exactly, but it was a game where it was like quite close. I don't think it was semis. I think it was maybe quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Where they were having a big argument in the benches. After a set, they won the set 7-6.
Okay, yeah.
And LeBron and Stupa just went, he said, "Está re cansino" to LeBron, being like, dude, you're so annoying. Like,
I love that. I missed
just like
that.
went in because, they had a difficult set and Stupa just like lashed out with the coach there being like, he said to the coach, to Puccioni, he was like, dude, I'm so sick of arguing with this guy. You are so annoying right now.
That's hilarious, dude.
So tensions do rise.
I just call I just call them best friends, but really in a partnership like that,
But they're working.
That's how you sometimes you got to communicate like that a little bit and just be real, and
stakes are really high.
And it's one of these things that you know that you can say that, and I'm like, Hugh, you're being fucking annoying right now. Shake it off and move on, and you know that
we're here to play, and I think these guys are used to it.
Yes.
Like it's like as Stupa said one time when they asked him about this, he was like, guys, you have to understand, we're like, this is our job, this is our life, we've sacrificed everything to play this sport at the highest level, a niche sport, really small, we're still growing with it. Like, forgive us if our heads and our bodies are going at 1,000 RPM when we're playing. Emotions come out, we lash out, it's normal, which it is. But yeah, it was just interesting to see Koki Yanguas as well having like
they had a moment too.
They had a moment as well in the against Chingalan in the semis. They were like, Koki was saying to Yanguas like, you're in your own world, dude. We're not like, you're doing your thing and we're not gelling right now. But he did, with a bit of a spice in there. It wasn't just like you could tell he was emotional about it as well.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, like going back to like this last segment, I think just quick overview. We've got the Golden Boys we've talked about. Chingalan kind of killing it at the moment.
They're doing awesome.
No news there.
Stupa
Lebrón as third seeds, really stepping up their level.
It's exciting.
We're all seeing how well they're playing. Can they, fight for that second spot? I think they can.
Yeah.
Then we've got Koki Yanguas, who I really like as a pairing. Feels like maybe they're struggling a little bit. I think some people are talking about Yanguas maybe needing to find someone else. Maybe Koki, who is a great player, but is Koki the player for Yanguas? Maybe not, because Yanguas both are.
What do you think Yanguas needs that Koki can't provide?
More aggression.
Yeah, you think so, huh?
I think
you're right. Actually,
again,
as soon as you say that,
we use him as an example, but I think Yanguas Galan would be an absolute
it would be a tough
killer.
pairing.
Or he could even pair up with Cardona maybe or something like that. I think,
exactly.
But I think Koki is still world class, incredible player. But if you're looking at just how paddle works right now at this level,
it's got to be aggressive.
Maybe you just need a big hitter next to you as a forehand player. Because Yanguas the thing about Yanguas is he's super consistent and he's really hungry.
Yeah.
Yanguas has said he wants to be that number one,
right,
and he believes he can.
Right.
Some players, and they say it in public in interviews and stuff, some players already assume that they will never be number one. Like John Sant said it he was like, yeah, I'd love it, but I have to be realistic as well. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Yanguas,
he
believes he can, and he really wants it. I completely agree with him. I think he could be super young still. I think he's like 23 or something.
I always forget that he is on the younger side. But yeah, you're right, man. I think that's also kind of what makes and breaks the if you want to go into like the psychology of like a a top performing athlete, like guys like John Sands, and not to sell him short, but if you're going into these games being like, or just into this like career that you're on the path of being like I'll never be number one. I think it's important to be realistic, but sometimes like the levels of delusion that can push a player to just have a shot at it is something that Yanguas has, what I mean? And I think that's so important. It's so interesting that, he can just stand by his name and go like, basically, if I have the right person next to me, it's still kind of early-ish days. I know we're talking about, or speculating on how these new pairings are doing.
Yeah.
I think if Cocky can't give that to him, later on at the end of the year or somewhere along this season, they might have to have a conversation and just actually be realistic
Having
about
said that, also, by the way, I said Yanguas pairing up with Cardona. No, that's impossible. I mixed it up. I meant Augsburger, maybe. I don't think that would be I don't think that's a possibility or something that either of these players are thinking about right now, but I'm just like speculating.
We're just spitballing here, guys.
Spitballing a little bit, like players like Galan, Augsburger could pair up with Yanguas, not Cardona because he's lefty, so that wouldn't work.
True.
Having said that, Goki and Yanguas have made the semis of 2P1s in a row. They've lost both times against Chingotto Galán. Incredible, super tough rival to beat. However, in Miami, as we saw, they were really close. It wasn't like an absolute domination by Chingotto Galán. In Santiago, first set was a 7-6 tiebreak as well. Very close. Second set was already, but that's, I think, down to mentality and just overall confidence after losing the first set. But it's not like they're being, swept away by Chingotto Galán.
Oh gosh, no, man.
So it's not that they're they're over there. They
have a chance to put the pressure on, and I think that's what matters, man. And if they can go into these next tournaments coming up and keep that there and keep that level of consistency, then they have their own right to believe and dream like that, and they can go out and get it. But I also want to hear from you guys as well. What other pairings that are you speculating on? Do you see some pairings sort of splitting up within this year, or by the end of the year are they going to be finished? Who knows so far? But I think as the year goes on, the players who are struggling at the moment will become exhausted by then, and they have to consider other options. You know what I mean? I always want to know what those conversations are like between the players, though. Really, if it's something we don't get to see, but to sit down, it's like, hey buddy, hey Cocky, we need to talk. It's not me, it's you. You know what I mean? Is it like a breakup? Is it? I doubt it, but like these are the moments where you have to do what's best for yourself, and if it's just not working, like for Garrido and Dineno,
and it's hard. You've got like, I think Paquito and Bergamini, also another pairing that I think they're working quite well. I don't see them separating because I think they're up against absolute beasts, but I think they're working really well.
Yeah.
Dineno Garrido, we've got Ruiz Chozas, we've got Momo and Momo John Sanz, who've been playing. I
like them both as individual players. I don't know if they're a great team together.
It just comes to a point where like, I feel like if you're not like top 4, top 5, unless you're up and coming like Cardona Augsburger, who are like really young players who have a lot of potential and a lot of talent, who are as we've seen doing things in the circuit, you just kind of have to. You're left with the scraps, as soon as there's a change up top.
It's true. And musical chairs a little bit, right?
Literally, yeah. And obviously the top players will have priority and they will get what they want, because if Lebrón, Stupa, Galán, Coello Tapia called you up being like, yo, do you want to pair up? And you're John Sanz or Momo, you'd be like,
am I dreaming?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you're not one of those, you're gonna kind of have to be left with that, and then you're just gonna have to. It comes to a point where I think you just have to compete. You're just there. This is like any sport. Like Bournemouth or Leeds know that they're gonna try their best, and they love playing football, and they're gonna put everything they have into it. But they know they're not gonna win the Premier League, or that they're not Champions League material, or sometimes you just have to sort of
accept it. That's where you are.
Accept it, and it's still beautiful, and it's still like making a living off of playing a sport, and sports need competition.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Oh yeah. I mean, look, we've been speculating on some pairs. We want to coin this like the quarter season crisis. If there's any worries that's on your guys' side, or any predictions that you guys want to make, we love hearing you guys in the comments.
Absolutely.
I know we said this episode feels shorter, but it's not that much shorter actually. So hopefully we gave you a little bit of the scoop on Santiago.
Yeah.
I think we have a little thing that we want to tease.
Yes.
For our next episode. I don't know how much you want to give away a little bit, but do you want to mention a little bit what's happening?
Yeah, I guess just to, as you guys know, we've got a bit of a break now. We've come from like the South American tour. Next tournament starts April 11th.
Yeah.
So in 11 days, more or less. So we've got a bit of a break. We don't have breaks. Off court just keeps going.
We're a content machine.
So we've planned a special episode. We're bringing back off court chats. As you guys know, in 2025, we had this initiative of diversifying our content a little bit and bringing you guys, other than this, what we just did right now, just like reviewing the professional tour. There's times where tournaments are a bit boring, or there's a boycott, or, there's a break. So we still want to keep giving you guys paddle content. So we're bringing someone on the pod. We've got a really special guest who we're really excited about. This one, we had Gonza Oviña as the first one, the professional, the Premier Padel Red Bull TV commentator. And this one's going to be also in the paddle world, a bit of a different one.
They manufacture paddle rackets.
Yes.
And I think, if we give you a little headline or a little scoop, they possibly make one of the most expensive rackets you can buy.
We're getting into the luxury paddle world, which is now a thing, and it's very interesting, and we're really excited about having this person on.
Exactly.
So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned and below. If you want to take a stab at who it is, or if you want to take a stab at how much the rackets cost, go for it. That's for sure. We'd love to know your prices. When I saw them, I was also impressed, but I think really why I'm excited to bring them on is to learn about what makes that racket special,
and the brand, the story behind it. I think it's gonna be great. So tune in next week.
Yes.
For that. This has been the Santiago P1 review.
Yeah.
Bit of a weird one, but hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, thank you for tuning in. Listen to us on Spotify.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our YouTube.
True. Yeah. We've had some stuff where people want us on. We're a podcast and we're not on all the platforms. I believe now we are on all the other podcast platforms as well.
We've had requests. We read you. We listen to your.
You
comments.
guys are so sweet. You guys sometimes I drive and I want to listen to you guys.
I'm making lunch.
Yeah, making lunch and stuff like that, which I think is super sweet. I think we got to assume that when we do long episodes, we're going to be in the background. So you know what I mean? So now the world's your oyster. Listen to us on whatever platform that you want. I think we're on all of them now. So thank you for that person who was reaching out to us and trying to set that up.
But really appreciate the support you guys are giving the pod.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome, guys.
More short form content to follow on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.